Hello and welcome to Chickbucktwo Homestead. Today I am canning basic chicken soup. We had roast chicken for dinner yesterday and I put the leftover carcass in a large pot of water to boil right after. I like to boil a carcass for several hours, sometimes up to 6 hours or more, depending on what I have going on that day. Boiling for 2 or 3 hours is sufficient if you are pressed for time. You can even save the carcass in the refrigerator or even freeze it and boil it down another day. I pre-cut the chicken, carrots, turnips, potatoes, and onions into small cubes while the broth was boiling. I add the skins from the carrots and onion peel and also add garlic to the broth as it is boiling. Because I am canning meat, I use a pressure canner. The one that I have does not have the option of changing the pressure according to your altitude. If you're using this type, please refer to your manual on how to pressure can in your area. While I cut up the vegetables, I fill up my canner halfway and set it on the burner to preheat. Cleaned bottles are placed in the oven on 225 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes to be sanitized. I turn off the oven once it hits the 25-minute mark, but leave them in there so they are good and hot when I'm ready to fill them. Once I'm ready to can the soup, I strain all of the bones and vegetables out of the broth. Any meat left on the bones or in the strainer is saved for the soup. I don't use exact measurements when adding the ingredients to the bottles, but I would say that I put between a quarter cup to a third of a cup in each bottle of each ingredient, except the onions. I put slightly less onions than the other ingredients, and also a teaspoon of coarse canning salt in each bottle. You must add salt. Salt is what preserves the ingredients. If you don't put salt, your soup will go rancid. If you're using bigger jars, you will have to double or triple the amount in each bottle. I push the ingredients down before adding the broth, then I fill the bottles with broth up to 1 centimeter from the rim. It is important that the broth is hot when you put it in the jars so that it cooks through and you get all of the air bubbles out before closing up the jar. I wipe the rim of the jars with white vinegar before sealing. You will need to heat up your sealers with warm water to soften up the rubber before applying to your jars. Once all of the jars are in the cooker and the red indicator pops up, it is pressurized. Again, my cooker is not the standard that most people use, but it is all that I have, so please follow whatever your instructions say for your cooker. I set the timer for 35 minutes as per my cooker's instructions. Some cookers need more time than this. My cooker is cooled in a sink of cold water. Some require a longer cooling period. Some liquid may escape during the pressure processing, and this is okay as long as your lids are sealed properly. I always add water to the pot when I use the canned soup later anyway. This makes a sort of soup concentrate, if you will, that you can add more ingredients or spices to when you are ready to use it. Your soup will continue to cook and seal after you remove it from the cooker. Here you can see the soup is still bubbling. 24 hours later, I take the rings off of my bottles and check the seal. If they are nice and secure, I clean the bottles with a vinegar solution, then store them in my cold storage area. If a bottle does not seal, it cannot be stored away and it will go rancid, so you can either eat it or reseal it. You can see here that I also canned plain broth. I followed the same processing procedure and the only ingredient that was added to the broth was salt. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it helpful. Good luck on your canning adventure and have a wonderful, blessed day.